Allah, please untie the knot in my tongue. Make me more obedient. Allah bless us and what you have provided for us. Allah inspire us with right guidance and protect us from the evil of our own selves. For everybody with us, may Allah grant us clarity, conviction, and courage. Ameen. Tonight we're talking about the approval-seeking coward. The approval-seeking coward. All right, this is part 2 of the coward series. We got to identify it's a lot of cowardice going on in this country, in this nation, in this world. So first we begin with word alchemy. We deconstruct these words, what they mean. We deconstruct these 3 words, all right? They're all pretty familiar. Y'all pretty familiar with these words, but we're going to make you even more familiar. We're going to master the language because none, I don't think, has been understood at the depth that this talk tonight requires. So we're going to pull them apart, see what it all actually says, and then we put it back together. So the first word is approval. Approval. Approval comes from Latin, most of these English words. Approbare. Approbare. Ad means towards. Probare meaning to test, right? To prove, to establish is good. To establish it is good. To test it to see if it's good, if it's solid, if it's sturdy, if it's worthy. To approve something is subject to a actual test, and then you declare it being worthy. That is what an approval is, a declaration that this is worthy, right? But notice what that means when you seek approval from men. And when I say men, I'm talking about men and women, mankind. You are placing yourself under someone's examination, a person's examination. Right? You're submitting your identity, your decisions, your values, your voice to a panel of people who are most likely confused themselves about themselves, right? To people who are most likely compromised, right? Who are most likely just performing and acting, right? They're not even solid, okay? You're asking the untested to certify the tested. You're handing your worth over to people who have not earned the authority to assess you. And then you arrange your entire life around passing these people's tests. Like, really, you're sitting around trying to satisfy some person's examination around not failing in their eyes, right? The Latin root of this word exposes the absurdity, right, of the entire arrangement. You're being evaluated by a jury that has no standing in court. This is craziness. This is madness. All right, so approval. Now we have seeking. Old English, seecan, S-E-C-E-C-A-N. To go is to seek, right? To go, these words are kind of self-explanatory. Anyway, to go in search of something that you don't possess, that you don't have, right? The word, I'm sorry, let me move these things on my screen. It's distracting. All right, I can see y'all now. All right, listen. The seeker lacks the thing that he seeks. A man seeks water because he's thirsty. A man seeks shelter because he's exposed to the elements. He doesn't have shelter. A man seeks approval because something in him does not believe that he's enough without it, what he's seeking approval of, right? So seeking, if one is seeking, that in itself is a confession. It's telling you a lot. You got to listen. You got to pay attention. Every time the approval seeker, positions himself for validation, every time he adjusts his language to land better in a room, every time he's softening the truth because the crowd went cold when he started talking, that's a confession. He's letting you know that his sense of self is not self-generated. It's crowd-generated. He's crowdsourcing confidence. He's crowdsourcing value and worth. He can't stand without an audience. He dies, right? The audience, though, that audience is a load-bearing architecture for a man who has no structural foundation of his own. He needs people. He needs other people. All right, now we go to the big word, the C word, coward. We talked about this before. The tail tucker. That's what a coward is, a tail tucker, an animal that turns and runs and shows you his tail, tucks his tail up under, right? That's a man who let fear control his decisions. Now, we must name the specific fear at the center of this talk because the coward in part 1 feared pain, exposure, and he feared consequence. The coward we're talking about tonight, he fears something else, something very precise. He fears not being approved. He fears the cold room. He fears being unfollowed. He don't want to lose his followers. He has apps on his phone that he can see when you unfollow them, right? He fears that everyone will be quiet when he opens his mouth and starts talking about what he thinks. He fears not being welcomed in a group. He fears standing on his own position, in a position that a lot of people don't agree with. He don't like that, right? Listen, if everybody agree with me, I'm not doing something right, right? When you stand in certain positions, in certain levels in this world, you just get along with everybody. I'm not saying you should be rude and disrespectful to people. That's never the case. But if you have a voice and everybody just agree with your voice, popular, I don't know. You're being too nice, right? Not being real, not being authentic, possibly. But this coward that I'm talking about, the thing he cannot survive is right in his own brain, his own mind, right? He can't handle being alone in his own conviction, right? So he never allows himself to be alone in it. He just avoids it. Let's say he goes into a room, he reads the room, and he becomes whatever that room is going to accept. He's a chameleon, reptile, an oxalotl. So let's put these three words together. The approval-seeking coward is a man who has handed his identity to a jury of the confused, who confesses his emptiness through every adjustment he makes to earn another person's verdict, right? Who will tuck his tail and abandon his values the moment that holding them costs him the audience or the crowd, right? That man is searching for acceptance, right? He is searching for a self. He has not built one yet. And until he does, the crowd will keep building one for him, right? That's his life. And it'll keep looking like, whoever the crowd needs him to be this season, that's who I'm going to be. It's not solid. The approval-seeking coward has a religion. Now, he wouldn't call it that. He just call it, I'm just being real. I'm being myself. I'm being relatable, strategic. No, you're being a bitch. He's being a bitch, right? And he's good at it. He has excellent language for it. He is very articulate and eloquent with the tongue. He says the right things. But remember, y'all, verbal communication is the easiest form of communication to corrupt. Because somebody can lie. They can say something that's not true. It's not the only way. Take the language away. Take what he says away, right? Remove that from the equation and look at his behavior. Look at his behavior. You'll see a complete operational theology with its own God, its own prayers, and its own system of judgment. The God is the gaze from the eyes, right? And the crazy thing about it is not Allah's gaze, is not the gaze of God. Is the gaze of guys, of men, specifically, the gaze of whatever group currently holds his social standing in their hands. That's his lords. He got a bunch of them. He wakes up every day calibrating to them. He posts calibrating to them. He speaks calibrating to them. He makes decisions calibrating to them. Every action is filtered through one question. Whether he asks it consciously or not, he wants to know, how will this land? What are they going to think? He don't care if it's true or not. He don't ask himself, is this right? Am I doing the right thing or saying the right thing? He don't ask himself, does Allah see that he is pleased? Allah see him. Is Allah pleased with him? No, he doesn't. He wants to know, how would this land with this group? The classical Islamic scholars named this disease with aggressive precision. It's crazy. The word is Ria. It translates to like ostentatious, just grand, like showing off, right? Performing for the eyes of people rather than being who you're supposed to be for Allah. But Ria goes a lot deeper than what most people understand it when they first hear it or the definition. They think of the man who prays in public but don't pray alone. That man has Ria, but so does the man who stays silent, about truth in a room full of people who don't want to hear it. Any Muslims in here, don't be that person. It's these things that are prescribed and talked about. It is not just with prayer and how you act in the mosque. No. This is for real life, right? So if you are the type of man that if you're in a group and it's time to pray and you make sure you pray, right, with, people can see you, but you're not doing that when you're by yourself. This is you, right? You're the same person that's in group full of people or around people, and you have an unpopular, truthful position, and you just like, nah, you agree with them. You agree with the crowd, right? It's not solid. It's all the same behaviors, right? The man who performs strength online but cannot hold a standard in private is the same thing as the man who could pray in public but not by himself, okay? And look, you think nobody's watching, but God's watching. People be saying they believe in God, they love God, but they act as if God is not there, not watching, not taking inventory of our deeds. Something to think about. Riyah is not only what you add for the audience, there's a lot more to it. It's also what you remove for the audience. It's a subtraction of truth, of principle, of courage, because the audience wouldn't approve it. That's Riyah as well. The prophet, peace be upon him, was asked what he feared most for his nation. His answer wasn't poverty. It wasn't like losing a war. It wasn't like, political collapse. He said minor shirk. They said, what's minor shirk? He said, Riyah, showing off, performing for the eyes of others. A man obsessed with earning human approval is aggressively weak. He's a coward. There's a lot of words that I would call him, but I don't want to do that right here. I was trying to speak better, be more professional. He is, in the most precise theological sense, worshiping something other than Allah. The worship of the gaze is a form of shirk, right? Those are your gods. The people who you desire their praise, that's your God, right? It's placing something in a position that belongs to Allah. Specifically, it is placing a human judgment in the seat of divine judgment and then treating the human verdict as if that's the one that actually determines your worth. This is fascinating. Now, the deepest indictment of the approval-seeking coward, he says he fears Allah. He says it with his mouth. He may say it and wrap it up in like legit emotion, the right convictions, it seems like, right? But his behavior is what matters. That's the evidence, not what you say. And the evidence it says something different, right? His behavior says a thing that I cannot survive without being approved by people. His behavior says the standard I am, that I'm actually building myself and my life around, is the one that keeps the room accepting me. Want to be accepted by people, by others, right? The judgment I'm preparing for is not Yom Al-Qaim. It's the judgment of whatever circle I'm standing in right now. Chameleon. You cannot simultaneously optimize for Allah's approval and the crowd's approval at the same time. It don't work like that, player. Don't work like that. And not because the two are always in conflict on every point. Sometimes they might align, but the orientation is different at the root. The man who acts for Allah acts because something is right, regardless of who's watching and regardless of how it lands. The man who acts for the crowd acts because it'll produce a favorable response, regardless of whether it's right or wrong. He don't even care, right? The operating principle is different. The engine is different, and the engine determines everything else about where the vehicle ends up. I was telling my brother today when we was working out, and Sean was training, and there's content creators that, now keep in mind, everybody's different, they're on a different path. So what you're burdened with carrying that truth. And some people don't know the same thing, so they might be, they're all right. Like, you don't judge nobody. But there's people that I follow that that be popping off, talking mad, like, talking crazy. And I like that. I think it's entertaining. Do I be wanting to talk like that? Absolutely. But I know it's not right. I know I'm not supposed to. So if I know it doesn't please my God. So if I was to talk like that and act like that, I'm doing it for the people, not for Allah. And that's not the vibration. I got to live what I be talking about, right? And that's just not right. That's not the way that I am. I've not been blessed with a position to do that, to encourage that kind of like language and behavior. That's why astaghfirullah for what I said earlier. I said the B word for the coward. Anyway, now back to what we're talking about. You got to watch what happens when this coward, this man, encounters the truth that the crowd does not want to receive, a moral position that the group rejects, a standard that will require him to separate from the people that he needs, a conviction that he held publicly will cost him standing, like followers, business, relationships. Watch what happens. That position kind of softens up. He finds the language to make the truth more palatable. I see both sides. I don't like the see both sides type of people. Nah, it's complicated. It's complicated. That bums me out when I hear that. It's complicated. Not for me. Not for me. You're a medium man. Don't be a medium man. Or this person will have, he'll have something vested in that space, but he'll be like, that's not really my area, right? Or he says nothing at all, which is his language of itself, right? And the room reads his silence correctly as agreement. He lets them read it that way because correcting them would be costly. It'll cost him his access to that particular group. Every one of those moments is a death. Remember I told you, a coward dies 1,000 deaths. But that's what it's about. When you don't stand on business principles, you die. And a person like that You do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, it becomes easier and easier and easier. So you die 1,000 times at least, minimum. That's a pathetic life, to die over and over and over, right? Approval-seeking cowards, their deaths are very quiet, very quiet. They happen at the moment right before they say something, right? Like a half second before he knew what the truth is, but he don't say it. The audience don't see that death. Some might, right? But they see a performance, and some of them applaud it. They like that. Yeah, he's on my side. He agrees with me, right? Remember, people like to feel right. They don't care about being right. They want to feel right. Remember that. Now, the man who fears the man who fears men more than Allah has a specific problem with belief. His theological statement is correct. There is no God but Allah. But his practical actions, his practical theology, the religion that he's really living, that has nothing to do with Allah, right? The one that's written into his daily behavior, it says something completely different. His practical theology says Allah's judgment is abstract, distant. I don't really know if that's real. Approval, a man's judgment is immediate and is real. It's right now. This is real. I live my life. Allah's displeasure will not cost me anything I can feel right now. Men's displeasure will cost me something right now. So he manages today's costs. He outsources tomorrow's accounting. He's a coward. That outsourcing is not a mistake. It's a choice. This is a choice made daily in dozens of small decisions, each one looking too small to be significant, each one participating in the construction of a life that is functionally indistinguishable from a life of a man who does not believe Allah is watching at all. Just like the little decisions that we make every day, the small things that we do, they amount to great things. A person in superior shape didn't get like that from one workout. He got like that from thousands of workouts. Making these decisions every day. Nah, don't eat that. Eat this. Fast right now. Take these supplements. Go to sleep on time. All those decisions. And then you see the receipt. The same thing happens on the flip side. Them small little seemingly insignificant wrong decisions. You're going to pay for it. It's going to show. The Quran addresses this directly. Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, they hide from the people, but they do not hide from Allah, while he is with them when they spend the night, in such as he does not accept speech. And ever is Allah encompassing what they do. He's always watching. He's always there. He always sees. He knows it all, right? The approval seeker hides from the people strategically. He curates, he manages what they see, but he cannot manage what Allah sees. And somewhere beneath the performance, he knows this. The performance is elaborate precisely because it is a substitute for genuine character. A man of genuine character does not need to manage anything. He don't need to manage his presentation. There's nothing underneath that contradicts who he is. What you see is what you get. Solid, right? The approval-seeking coward is a diseased person. He's diseased. Disease is like progress. It's a progressive disease. It's always getting worse. It don't stay the same. It's like cancer. The more he feeds it, the larger it grows. The more he adjusts himself for the room, the less of himself remains that does not require adjustment. Watch the patterns. We have to be pattern recognized. We have to be elite in pattern recognition because it begins small. He leaves out the hard part of a true statement because the room ain't ready for it. That's what he tells himself, right? He calls it wisdom, right? This, I know my audience, timing. He's not lying. He's being strategic. That's what he calls it. That's what he calls it, for real. I'm being strategic. The first adjustment always gets a name that sounds like maturity. It sounds good. The second adjustment is easier than the first. He no longer pauses before it, right? The calculation happens faster. He's getting used to this. He's learning the shape of the room, right, with increasing precision. He's a sniper, and his speech is learning to fit that shape without him consciously directing it. He's being trained, not by a teacher, but by his own accumulated choices. Each time he chose the room over the truth, the room became the most powerful, way more powerful than the truth, because the truth became very negotiable for him. So the pattern is now on his own momentum. It has its own life. By the time the pattern is fully established, the man no longer knows what he actually believes. I'm dead ass, y'all. And this is not a metaphor. This is real science. This is neurological, right? There are papers about this. A man who spent years filtering his belief through the approval of others has lost reliable access to his own convictions. When he tries to locate what he thinks, he finds a set of positions that have been shaped, reshaped, and shaped again by so many rooms that he's been in, trying to fit in and trying to, like be that chameleon, that his own form is gone. He don't have anything. He ain't hiding his truth. He just ain't got it no more. He's processed himself into something that's many times that is not genuine. So he is not there anymore. He can't find himself. Look at how he be moving through the world. He has a different version of himself for every room. The version for the religious people, very observant. He use the right language, demonstrate the right markers. The version for the secular world, strips down. He let his hair down, right? Ain't no what? Yo, he knows what to do. He got the vocabulary. He has a robust lexicon of words and phrases for every situation, right? The version of his old neighborhood, he could do that, like whatever. He's a master manipulator, master chameleon. All of them partial truths assembled for audience consumption. The man is the man in full. The man he actually is when there's no audience is someone who almost, no one's met. Nobody knows this guy. He doesn't know himself. That's a sad place. He compromises his values, not in the dramatic, visible moments, but in the accumulation of tiny surrenders. He laughs. Listen, this seems like a lot, right? I am talking about just attributes in men, attributes in me, attributes in you. If something lands that you relate to, that you have, damn, I kind of did that. Ain't nobody going to be like, yeah. Ain't nobody going to type in the chat, that's me, that's not like me. But a word to the wise is sufficient. Understand that. I'm putting it in your face. I'm putting a mirror up. Recognize it in yourself. Take accountability in yourself and fix it. Fix it. These talks are not for me to just talk down on people or talk down about people. These talks are meant as medicine for any kind of disease that you may have, that I may have. A lot of what I talk about come from things that I've struggled with before. So I'll be speaking from experience, or I'll be in proximity with people. And I have lived, I'm 49 years old, but I feel like I lived that 45 times, 49 times. So I just experienced a lot of living, a lot of life, a lot of people. And I'm merely sharing the wisdom that I've extracted over the years with y'all. And I hope that it lands. So please, listen with an open heart, open mind. Don't listen out of a place of oh, that's so-and-so. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. And to a wise man, a word is sufficient. Listen, you have to position yourself in a space, in a place of humility. I used to never do that. I used to be a very arrogant person. So much so that I've been working on myself for years. I have people who still have, some residual trauma from me from many years ago when they'll experience certain situations with me right now, and then they be like, dang, man, you changed so much. I'm like, what do you expect? I say, give me an example, because I want to, if it's something I haven't fixed, I want to fix it. Let's talk. And they'll bring up something from so long ago. You never know the impact that you have on people, especially negative, that stays around. Think about it. You go on Yelp, you don't see positive reviews, you see negative reviews. But most of these businesses are fine, right? People mostly have good experiences, but they only report the negatives. So our dealings and interactions with people really remember the bad ones. They don't remember the good ones, because that's normal. That's how it should be. And then depending on y'all, how impactful or powerful you are, how much energy you may have, you have to watch yourself, because you might have a heavier impact on somebody in the wrong way. It's good if it's in a good way, but sometimes we be moving without being conscious of how people feel, and we have to be cognizant of that. Listen, Allah doesn't care about a person who prays every prayer, a person that gives his charity, does all of the things, right? His 5 pillars, but he's not good to other people, because other people is also creations of Allah, right? Think of somebody was nice to you, but rude to your child. You're going to be like, man, that's this person, okay? You cannot expect Allah to be generous and merciful to you, and you are merciless to other people. Doesn't work like that. So we got to move with some humility, all right? That's real. And listen, when you're working on certain things in your life and your character, you see it big time in other people. So there's something that I see a lot, and this is an attribute that I used to have, but just the super over-the-top judgmental vibrations. It's so ugly, right? The always pointing the finger is not the vibe. So work on those things, all right? Just think about it. Before you say something bad about somebody, think about what you're doing. You letting a lot of filth come out of your mouth right now, hating on somebody. You hating on somebody. That's what you're doing. Even if I do it, I'm hating on somebody, and I shouldn't do that. You don't know where somebody's been, what they're in right now, why they're right there where they at. And if they got work to do, that's on them. Like, it's not you. So we gotta think about that and move with more hikmah, wisdom, and empathy. All right. So this person, this archetype that we're talking about, he says that he fears Allah, but I don't care what anybody say. I care about what you do. It ain't got nothing to do with what you say. Everything has everything to do with what you do. Do y'all know how inferior verbal communication is? Let me explain something. A word, language, is the easiest, the most easily corruptible form of communication. The easiest, because people can just lie. It's not reliable. I mean, I have family members, I don't even understand what they say because of their accents. And we speak the same language, allegedly. So language is not reliable. I've been in conversations and dialogue with people before, and I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I don't say the truth. It's not reliable. I've been in conversations when somebody says, oh yeah, let's go do that. And they don't want to do it, but they want to impress. Language is not reliable. It's too easily corruptible. And it's not, you can't, listen, if you say somebody just stabbed you or stole $1 million from you, you take them to court. No, they don't care what you said. It's going to be a whole trial. You got to prove this, Jack. So what you say out of your mouth means very little if you're not applying that real deal to life, if you're not living it, okay? We have to be livers of the truth, not speakers of it. Should speak it. You should be on truth at all times, but you got to live it, all right? I think y'all know what that means. Back to this coward that we've been talking about, right? He acts like the comfort of this room without the accounting, right? The approval of these people, the reputation in the circle. He act like that's the thing that really matters. The permanent record, the one kept by the recording angels, the one that will be open on the day when every soul is shown exactly what they earn. It don't appear to factor into this person's daily decision making. He'll say it does, but my guy, like, what are you doing? This is like a person saying they want to be in shape. They snacking. They got a big bag of snacks. You just using words, right? This is the person that say they want to be rich, but they spend hours and hours and hours scrolling or just, hanging out, doing frivolous things. You just talking. Like, you just talk. There's no alignment. All right? Lock in with the law, not people. That's when the alignment happens. People won't have you aligned because you don't know their path. You don't know every little thing about them. You're trying to align to a person. That's not solid, y'all. I'm letting y'all know right now. These people, they adjust, right? A person who genuinely believed he would stand before Allah and answer for every private moment would not arrange his life in the way that the coward arranges his, the coward or the liar, right? The civilizational cost of this man is real. Communities built on approval seekers cannot hold a standard. They cannot correct themselves. They cannot produce the kind of moral clarity that builds something that lasts. Every community has a center of gravity. And the center of gravity is that man's community. If he is the one, right, that the others are looking to, is the crowd itself, that crowd cannot lead the crowd. It can only amplify whatever is already moving through it. Without a man who will stand on truth, regardless of the temperature of the room, the community is going to drift towards whatever is comfortable. And comfort always moves in the direction of compromise. Compromise, always a bad look, y'all. There's an antidote to this. There's some medicine for this, some spiritual medicine. The antidote to the fear of men is not the absence of fear, right? It's greater and is more properly placed fear, okay? Fear of Allah, right? There's a word, an Arabic word, kashaya, right? That's a word that the Quran uses for the fear of Allah and is rooted in knowledge, not panic, but awe, not dread. It's reverence, right? It's the greatest recognition. It's you standing before something infinitely larger than yourself and infinitely more real than the approval of any room. The Quran says it draws this contrast with surgical precision. Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah addresses the believers. Do not fear the people, but fear me. This is not a suggestion, y'all. Allah commanded, don't fear them, right? This is a command from Allah that is not conditional on your emotions or if you're ready to receive it or not. It applies when the room is warm and when the room is cold. It don't matter. They apply when Obedience is celebrated, and and when it's punished, it don't matter. They apply when you feel strong and when you feel the full weight of what standing alone costs. It don't matter. The man who has genuine kashaya cannot simultaneously live for the approval of a person, of people, not because he's trying to suppress his desires for approval, but because the two fears compete for the same space of Allah is way too big. Is way too real for a room smaller than small. It's just small. It's too small. Like, that is not on the scale of our divine creator, right? It's not discipline that crowds out the fear of men. It's the larger truth that makes the fear of men look like what it is. The fear of creatures who themselves are accountable, who themselves are dying, who themselves will not present at your judgment and cannot affect its outcome even by a fraction. Think about what you're actually afraid of when you fear the disapproval of men. Think about that, yo. You're afraid of a feeling, of a effing feeling. You're afraid of the discomfort of being judged by a dude, by this person unfollowing you. You're afraid of being criticized by a person who ain't perfect. Like, who are these people? Who are you telling? Shut up. Why do you care? Right? This is my life. That's the entire substance of what you're protecting yourself from. Effing feeling. A feeling, y'all. Set that against what you're risking when you arrange your life around protecting yourself from that feeling. You're risking the clarity of your character. You're risking the integrity of the words coming out of your mouth. You're risking, come on, y'all, alignment with your obligations to Allah. You're risking the kind of man your children will remember when they reconstruct who you were. You're risking your standing on a day when the crowd can't speak for you and no approval rating can be submitted. You can't show Allah like, look, so-and-so said. Now, feeling against all of that, that is a trade the approval seekers make every time he adjusts for himself, or he's adjusting himself for the people that he's around, trying to blend in with the room. Genuine Kashaya recognizes the accountant, the man who does not stop caring what people think in the sense of being indifferent to them. He still speaks with care. He still, what is this, right? Listen, the care in the service of truth, not in the service of comfort. That's what we should be standing on. You should speak clearly because clarity serves the person. He does not soften because softening serves him, right? That distinction is everything. The approval seeker adjusts his truth for the room because he can't bear what honesty will cost him. The man who really fears Allah delivers hard truth, but with precision, with care, right? Because he has hikmah, because he knows that anything less than the truth is a disservice to the person receiving it, and it's a failure in his own accountability to Allah. And he'll die one of those little thousands of deaths. A man who truly fears Allah has also resolved the question of standing alone. It's not the goal, but it can't be the thing that stops you. The prophets stood alone, all of them. They were mocked, they were expelled, ignored, threatened, killed. I mean, like, everything you can imagine. It wasn't like they just wanted to seek isolation, right? It was because they stood on the truth. Look at our media. Look at the people who are really, like, considered villains. Think about it, y'all. Think about who the government tell you are bad people, and then look at the government. It's astonishing. It's astonishing, okay? The truth tellers, they get persecuted. The devil seem like they always win. Now, if you don't believe in God, then that's your reality. The devil wins. The Trumps of the world win. The people who enslaved my ancestors win. The people that's genociding Gaza, they win. They're good. If you don't believe in Allah, then they win. And you might as well join and just do all the frivolous things and kill and steal and, because nothing happens. Your entire existence is going to happen in these little 60 to 80 years everybody lives. That's it. You're done. You done. Think about that, y'all. Y'all really think that this world exists where mass murders, rapes, child molestation, you see the Epstein stuff, these people they just walking free. You think that's it? Do you really think that's it? You think that's the world? Why would we be born in a place like that? That's it. You know that putting things off, waiting to do things is always a better look, right? So you trying to like, I mean, I'm going to live it up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take, have. That's not the vibration. That's a whole nother conversation, y'all. That witness, we have a witness. We have a person, not a person. We have an entity that knows that every movement. It's Allah. Allah sees the moment that you held your position when everybody else folded. Allah sees the moment you said the true thing when everybody else, they went cold. It's real, Jack. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to do this. No. He sees that. He sees the private prayer when nobody's watching and there's nothing to perform and the worship is pure because it cannot be anything else in that moment. Allah sees that, y'all. You don't got, that ain't for everybody. Who cares? Who cares if they know you praying or not, right? He sees the conversation where you corrected the thing that needed correcting, even though the correction made you unpopular. He sees it, and what he sees goes into the record book that'll be open on the day when the homies ain't there, right? The prescription, the antidote to these social disease, the spiritual disease of being a coward is in the abstract. See, courage is the output of a correctly ordered fear. Y'all hear me? To be courageous, to have courage, that is the output of a correctly ordered fear. Put the fear where it belongs with full weight, full seriousness, and the courage follows because there is no longer a competing fear strong enough to top it. The man who is genuinely afraid of standing before Allah with a life of adjustments and performances and softened truths and managed crowds will find that the disapproval of men suddenly looks very small by comparison. Yeah, I really cared about what they, and it's not like the man you just lose your feelings, but the cost of the alternative became too real. When you recognize what we are up against. So that's the prescription. It ain't discipline. It's not tough guy vibes. It's not a getting up at 3 in the morning, right? It's not having an accountability partner. It is correctly placed fear. Place your fear with Allah, not with men.